We all have places we go that make us feel most alive. Sometimes it's a destination. Sometimes it's a pursuit. It's difficult to define, but when we're there, we know it. Time slows down, smiles come easier, and the sense of calm is medicine for the soul. Now we join two-time Bassmaster Elite Series champion Brandon Cobb for a day on his home waters. This is his element.
Fishing's been a part of my life since I was a little bitty kid. My dad would take me on the boat when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I've always loved it. But tournament fishing, to me, is a different breed of fishing. I mean, if you're a tournament angler, you have that drive to compete and that drive to try to beat other fishermen on the lake. And I knew I had that when I was 7 years old. I fished my first bass tournament with my dad. We're out here on my home lake, Lake Greenwood, fished the Bowers-Rogers Open Tournament. And I caught a 3-pound, 13-ounce bass, and it was the only bass I caught all day, but it was the first tournament fish I ever caught. And from that point, I knew that's what I want to do. I want to fish tournaments. Actually, the local paper came and interviewed me about that fish, and the headline of that article read, "7-year-old dreams of being a professional bass angler." And so at 7 years old, I already knew what I wanted to do. And through the years, kind of made my way through the ranks and eventually made it happen. At 7 years old, I had no clue what it entailed or how to get there, but I knew it's something I wanted to do. I love all types of fishing, but I definitely have my favorites that are if it's going on in a tournament, I feel like it's something that I can stand myself out from everybody else. I'm definitely a shallow water power fisherman. I love when fish get up eating bluegills, kind of swimming around the bank, you can see them. Post-spawn shallow water power fishing is one of my favorite things to do. But in recent years, through fishing the Elite Series and the FLW Tour, I've kind of grown a fondness of graphing around for offshore fish. I know it's completely opposite, but I kind of feel like I'm exploring. I could idle all day and mark schools of fish and look for brush piles and just kind of see what's down there. It's something that I've grown a fondness of, but there's nothing like fishing a buzzbait down the bank and seeing a 4-pounder come eat it. So I definitely consider myself a shallow water power fisherman, but I like it all. Fishing's something that you have to put time in to be the best at it or even good at it. And the way I kind of got my start and made my way to professional fishing was what I feel like was how I got my roots in fishing. When I was 12 or 13 years old, in South Carolina, you're actually allowed to drive a boat at that age and be on the water by yourself with a South Carolina boater's license. And so when I was 12 years old, I went online, got my boater's license, went and took the test. And my dad would take me to the lake. We had a 17-foot Stratus at the time, and he really knew it was something I wanted to do. So he worked here near the lake. He would take me to the lake every morning at 5:30 on his way to work, put the boat in, I'd be by myself, put me in, leave the trailer at the ramp and go to work. Well, I was stuck at the lake. I had nothing to do but try to figure out how to catch fish. So I'd stay on the lake all day. He'd come back and get me at 5:30 in the afternoon when he got off work. And I can promise a lot of those days I didn't get a bite. But I had nothing to do other than try to figure out how to catch them. So it was one of those things where it was slow learning, but I feel like anything you learn fishing yourself, you are better at it. And that's the way I kind of got my roots in fishing. I still use a lot of those techniques, a lot of those little details I learned at 12 years old on the lake all day by myself. Lake Greenwood holds a special place to me because this is what started my roots in bass fishing and tournament fishing. I mean, this lake, I know every dock, every brush pile. We've got names for all these holes. We got the Jungle, Chick-fil-A, the Big Fish Hole. Just special things that hold special places to me that I'll never forget. Lake Greenwood brings back memories every time I put the boat in here.
Watch the river run, see the light in the sky, feel your blood run cold in the heat of the night, in the cold.
One of my passions when it comes to fishing is not only catching fish myself and tournament fishing, but I love taking people who have maybe never caught a bass, never fished, never hunted, never done anything in the outdoors. The outdoors is kind of one of those things you need a mentor to kind of help you get into it, understand how to do it. And I love taking people who have never had those opportunities. My dad was my mentor that helped me learn kind of how to do it and how to enjoy the outdoors. My dad was a hardcore bass fisherman, but he was more the leisurely type. He liked to fish tournaments, but he just loved going fishing. So he allowed me to use his 20-foot bass boat and kind of gave me the start I had. And I fished the BFLs as a boater at 16, and took me a little while to do any good and kind of progressed my way up through the ranks. And growing up fishing local tournaments with my dad, there's just certain things that I'll never forget until the day I die about tournament bass fishing and bass fishing. Lining up for the takeoff, getting ready to call your boat numbers, just the smell of smoke from all the motors idling there, which we don't have that anymore. But that's just memories and details that I'll never forget as long as I fish. That's why fishing is my element.
Though they are often very different, each of us shares our own unique connection with the outdoors, a passion that drives us, defines us, and centers us. It's where we are most at home. It's where we are in our element. What is your element?